quick updates on Luigi. We talked about it a lot last week, but just a couple of small updates. Luigi Mangione. Do not worry, the podcast. Luigi Mangione, the UHC insurance killer. Love ya. This is kind of funny. A tweet from Ken Klippenstein, who's a great follow on Twitter, by the way. If you guys aren't following Ken.
Yeah, he's
a fantastic follower. Yesterday, the New York Times instructed staff to avoid publishing photos of Luigi Mangione's face. Internal company messages leaked to me reveal. I guess because he's too handsome. Every time they show this man's face, it's hard to garner sympathy for the hideous insurance CEO that he killed. So, yeah, people are sympathizing with the man because he's way too handsome, apparently. And so he has been also charged with terrorism, folks. So here is an update from the Associated Press. Suspect charged with killing United Healthcare CEO as an act of terrorism, folks. It has been charged as an act of terrorism, which is insane because this is actually a really good point. This is a tweet from Inhumans of Capitalism. This is actual terrorism. So here's a photo of a diabetic groom-to-be dies after taking cheaper insulin to pay for a wedding. As you guys know, insulin in the U.S. is extremely expensive, so people sometimes have to resort to desperate measures to save on buying their medication if they can't afford it. So these people kill us on a daily basis just because they deny us the claim that we pay for as U.S. citizens. But because insurance in the States is a for-profit business, essentially, most people don't have healthcare. A lot of people can't afford healthcare, or the healthcare that they have is insufficient to cover the expenses that they have, and people end up killing. So yeah, this is actual terrorism, but it's done by a man in a suit in an office, so it's not viewed as terrorism. You know what I mean? But the man that takes action is the terrorist, apparently.
It's crazy that they indicted him as being a terrorist, and in addition to charges of premeditated murder, etc., which is okay, yeah, maybe premeditated murder, but terrorism, is Brian Thompson or whatever, Brian Johnson, whatever his name is his life worth more than the average person? Because if you go up to a random person and you shoot them, you're not going to be indicted with terrorism.
They're putting out all the stops to make sure that people don't stand up against corporations. You know what I mean? This is a funny sort of graffiti that was found in California. It's a picture of Luigi holding a gun and it says, "Who's the next?" Very funny.
Elon Musk.
And speaking of the law only working for CEOs and not the common man, here is an example of, again, the law sort of overreaching. And they've arrested a 42-year-old mother of 3 for kind of just quoting Luigi on the phone. Let's see what happened.
And closer to home, police say that a Lakeland woman used phrases found in the shell casings from the recent killing of the United Healthcare CEO to threaten her own insurance company. Authorities say that a recorded phone call about a denied insurance claim. Brianna Boston told the Blue Cross Blue Shield employee, quote, "Delay, deny, depose. You people are next." Lakeland police were alerted by the FBI on Tuesday about this alarming incident.
She's a child. She's 42 years old, so we're not dealing with a child here. She should certainly know better. We will take this very seriously, and we will put you in jail if you do something like this. It is not a joke. Man.
Yeah, according to the affidavit, Boston told police that she did not own any firearms and was not a danger to anyone, but added that healthcare companies played games and deserved karma because they are evil. Now, she could face up to 15 years in prison. She's now facing several charges, including threats to conduct a mass shooting or act of terrorism.
Okay.
So that's insane. And this is how corporations and this is how the government sort of cracks down on everyday people. They let corporations do whatever the fuck they want. If United Healthcare wants to deny all these insurance claims and rip people off and make record profits, that's not a problem. That's not a crime. But if one of us wants to speak up against these fucking crimes, and she didn't even make any threat, she just said deny, delay, depose, you people are next. She's not saying that she's going to go fucking kill these people. She's just saying that if you guys keep doing this, something bad is going to happen to you. Is it maybe in poor taste? Sure. Is it a fucking threat? Is it terrorism? Is she threatening to do a fucking mass shooting? Of course not. But this is how the law works. The law isn't made there to protect you and the common folk. It's there to protect the fucking billionaires and the donors who donate money to politicians. This is the reality of it. And here's a great tweet by Cal Kalinske, friend of the show, Secular Talk, who's reacted to our podcast before, folks. He says, charging Luigi with terrorism is part of a broader plan to infiltrate in circles where people express no sympathy for the CEO. Just like that woman getting arrested in Florida for telling Blue Cross they're next after she had her claim denied. They want to ban They want to ban anti-corporate organizing under the guise of terrorist threats. They're pulling out all the stops to get you to shut up and accept your corporate overlords and never question gangster capitalists profiting off of your misery and death. So it's a coordinated effort, and that's what's happening. It's pretty crazy. And here's a funny meme that I found, because everyone keeps saying, well, you have to feel bad for the CEO. He's a father. You know what I mean? Like, he's a father. He's a father of two. So here's a funny, this is by the Betuta Advocate. Opinion, celebrating Saruman's death is wrong. He was a father. Saruman from the Lord. He was the father to many Uruk-hai, lovely Uruk-hai with families, As I learned from the new Lord of the Rings series on Amazon, orcs had kids and wives. Did you watch that? Did you know that?
Surprise.
And some of the orcs didn't even want to fight because they wanted to spend time with their wives and children. Isn't that, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a horrible show. It's a horrible show.
Man, fuck him and his kids.
Yeah, right. You can be a horrible person and have kids. Like, yeah. It's
You know what's insane? Women get death threats and rape threats every day. Women get stalked and fucking followed everywhere. And the police is like, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, right? But if a corporation complains, I feel unsafe. This woman told me to fuck off on the phone. Then she goes to jail for 15 years.
15 years.
That's how it works.
And she's on house arrest now.
Oh, yeah, she had a $100,000 bond as well. But speaking of healthcare, an interesting debate was sort of ignited on Twitter, and it's so weird because I followed this and I was kind of surprised when I saw what happened. So everyone's been complaining and criticizing the American healthcare system for how do you not provide healthcare for all of your citizens? You're a first world nation, the greatest country on earth. Why don't you have socialized medicine? Why isn't there a universal healthcare option for everyone? Why do people have to pay for their healthcare? And a lot of people point to Canada as an alternative. Look at Canada. They provide healthcare for all of their citizens. But a lot of people in a lot of countries, like in Europe, will usually complain about socialized medicine and say that the one thing they complain about is the long wait times. You can get any doctor you want at any time, but you have to wait a week, 2, 3, 4 weeks to see a doctor.
That's fine, man.
It's not as accessible as it is in the States where you pay and you if you need care that same day, you can go and get the care that you need, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. In Europe, I have some family in Ireland. They used to complain a lot about wait times and stuff at hospitals. Some people in France complain, and in Canada. So there was this story that actually took place, and we can talk about it quickly. So this man shared this photo on Twitter, and here's what he said. Had a bit of a health scare last night, but thankfully it wasn't a heart attack. Not sure what it was, though, because once they made sure I wasn't dying, I was thrown out into the waiting room, and 6 hours later, I said fuck it and went home. Canadian healthcare, folks, best in the world. I'll have to shave the rest of my chest, I guess. So this man ended up waiting 6 hours in the emergency room after they made sure he wasn't having a heart attack. They're like, fuck it. It's not urgent, so you can wait in the waiting room. 6 hours later, he got sick of it and was like, fuck it, I'm going to go home. He was sick of waiting. Well, the next day, I saw this tweet, and I was kind of shocked because I was like, oh, holy shit, I recognize this man. Canada man dies of aneurysm after giving up on 6-hour hospital wait. He literally died the next day of a brain aneurysm because he didn't want to wait long enough. And that sparked a whole other debate. So was he wrong for leaving after 6 hours? Was it unreasonable to make him wait 6 hours, etc.? Look, I personally think it is kind of unreasonable. There needs to be a balance. I understand people are... I'm completely for Medicare for all, socialized medicine, single-payer healthcare. Everyone should have healthcare. It's not something you should pay for. It is a privilege. It's a right, not a privilege. So I absolutely... I'm in support of that. But I also think whatever can be done to decrease wait times, make care more accessible for people, increase the amount of doctors, nurses in the healthcare system, I think that would be best because cases like that are very sad. This is a young man that shouldn't have died.
Oh, you didn't see the follow-up?
No, what follow-up?
When he died, people went through his Twitter and discovered he's a raging Zionist. So
really?
Everyone was like...
Oh, he is a Zionist? I mean, look, obviously, if he's a raging Zionist, it's not that sad, okay? It makes it a little bit less sad. But, I mean, this stuff happens to non-Zionists as well. Yeah. So let's just... No, thank you for telling me. So, I had no idea. So, fuck you, man, you piece of shit. I'm glad you're dead. No, that's fucked up. But, I mean, anyways, I just found it... This is just an interesting counterpoint because I know we're always pointing to socialized medicine and single-payer systems. Well, sometimes those systems aren't perfect either. So, we're not here. I am a huge proponent for universal health care. But it also needs to be I wouldn't want to wait 6 hours if I just had a life-threatening scare and I thought I was having a heart attack. They're like, you're fine, just wait for 6 hours.
Hello, he shouldn't have left.
He shouldn't have left, but I mean, you also, a bit unreasonable, I would say. It's kind of you're waiting for in an emergency room for 6 hours. That's kind of crazy.
I saw, I agree with you, but I saw people like Americans talking about the wait times and stuff. But apparently, even in the U.S., they wait like over 3 hours to come in the emergency room, even when they can pay for shit. So
of course,
we need to fix wait times universally.
I mean, it's not, but like a lot of times, but like a lot of times, it's more than just a few hours. A lot of the comments were mentioning like people waiting for 2, 3, 4 weeks before they can see a doctor. That's kind of crazy, and that turns people off from seeing doctors. It's very important to follow up with your health, and if you know that you're gonna have to wait, and if it feels like you're never gonna get an appointment, you're just not gonna even try to get that appointment or checkup, and things might fall down the cracks, and things that go undiagnosed can develop into way worse things. So people need to be encouraged to follow up on their health. And yeah. And we forgot to mention this last week. How does it work in Lebanon? We were complaining about American healthcare and stuff. Here, it's kind of like in the States. You don't get healthcare. There's no universal healthcare. You're in Lebanon. Imagine we don't get any services from the government. We don't even get electricity. We have to get our own power generators. So, like, you get nothing here, okay?
We feel you.
But you do have to pay for your own insurance, but it doesn't cost nearly as much as it does in the States. Now, the older you are, like I know that my older relatives have to pay a lot for health insurance, and it gets pretty unaffordable when you're extremely old and you've had health complications in the past, etc.
Yeah.
But like as a young man in my mid-30s, what I pay is like 4 times less than what I would pay if I were in the States monthly for health insurance.
I pay $700 a year, $700.
Yeah, you can pay between like $700 to like $1,200 a year per person. I feel between like first and second class, if it includes all tests or like emergencies, etc.
Yeah.
So like I don't think I pay like, and I do get my insurance through my work right now, so I get health insurance through my job. But like if I were to pay for it, it shouldn't cost me more than I would say like $120 to $150 a month. In the States,
it's thousands a month. They pay thousands of dollars a month on health insurance.
In the States, it could be up to thousands. I know my friend pays like $600 to $700 a month.
A month?
Which is insane. Which is insane. You know what I mean? Like I can get a whole year of health insurance if I get second class insurance here. Like where if you're in the hospital, you just share your hospital room with someone. You're not on your own. That's what second class means, or class B. You can pay like $700 a year for pretty decent insurance here in Lebanon. And we have a really good medical system. Like it's been under stress, and like COVID and stuff. But like we have very good doctors. A lot of Lebanese doctors have studied abroad in the States and they come back here. So we have a very good university here, like the American University of Beirut, that like graduates a lot of great doctors and stuff. So we have a pretty solid medical system. A lot of people travel from the Middle East to Lebanon to get a lot of different surgeries and stuff. So I mean, it's way cheaper. It's not perfect. Again, and if you can't afford it, there's a lot of people. There's a huge economic crisis happening here, so a lot of people cannot afford health insurance, specifically old people. So it's not a perfect system by any means. It's horrible, but it's way cheaper than it would be in the States.
Insulin is also way cheaper here. My grandpa's diabetic, and insulin here is way cheaper than it is in the US. It's super expensive.
Yeah, it's crazy expensive.
Yeah, here like medicine here isn't as expensive as the US as well. Like I don't know, it's just more affordable here. And personally, I've been to the ER in UBMC, which is the university ER here, and it was great. So 5-star review from me.
Perfect. If you guys want to get surgeries, you know where to go. Do Not Worry, the podcast